Welcome back to the Space to Be Well.
Hi, Michele.
Hi, Valerie. We're going to have some fun today.
I know it.
For our listeners, we are in our first season of the Space to Be Well, and we are talking about wellness design as a philosophy. It's sort of a big picture, right? In terms of achieving wellness and well-being in your homes and your work environments. You know, we touched upon the fact that many people think of wellness design as an interior, that looks like a spa or replicates a spa. But we understand that wellness design is a means to an end.
Absolutely.
It's how we accomplish well-being in our built environments through the Resonant Framework. And this is what we're talking about today. We touched upon this in our last episode, that the Resonant Framework is the key to achieving true well-being in the built environment. So we're talking about wellness design as a philosophy and a means to an end through the Resonant Framework, which has 4 dimensions. So last episode, we talked about renaissance and resonance as it relates to the interior, how we resonate with space through our identity and how we relate to the space and how the space mirrors us. And that's how you achieve part 1 of well-being in the space. And we have to follow all the dimensions to achieve this. So today we're focused on the second dimension, which is behavior. So this is...
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big topic.
It is a big topic because, most people are familiar with the term form and function, right?
Absolutely.
I think the second dimension is more of the function.
Yeah.
Maybe the first dimension, which was identity, was focused a little more on form, potentially. But the second dimension is definitely all about function. And it's focused on our behaviors. It's focused on our daily activities. It's focused on our rituals. And it has a lot to do with layout and flow, which is really
Huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
How we flow and move through the space can either hold us back and create friction or let us flow.
Exactly. Who doesn't want to flow?
Who doesn't want to flow?
Am I right?
We call this lifestyle-driven design.
Yeah.
Lifestyle-driven design. So lifestyle drives the design. Identity drives the design. Lifestyle drives the design. And in order to do that, we're going to tap into these ideas that help support how you move in your space and thinking about what you do every day, how you sleep, how you eat, how you move, how you create. Even in your place of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's sort of like your silent co-pilot that is helping you move throughout your day.
Exactly. And really, isn't that what design and having a well design, shouldn't it feel like automatically your space is just, like your best friend that's just right along with you throughout the day, just making life easy? Like, that's fantastic.
Exactly. But you got to put the hard work in
first
to get the dream right.
To get the result, right?
The result, exactly. Because, once you really do this deep dive on your lifestyle and your rituals, from when you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed, what are the things that you're doing over and over again? And how is this infused in your design so that you are flowing from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed?
I love it. Let's talk.
And that's what this episode is all about. Shall we dive in?
We shall.
I talked a little bit about form and function. This is all about the function. And what that means is it's all about the details. I've always said, we talk a lot about this. Design is in the details.
Absolutely.
Or successful design is in the details, right? Successful design is in the details. That's what, that's how you have to dig into really working through these details, how your behaviors are infused into the space and how that happens and how you design the space for flow and functionality, and to move through the space from, what's holding you back, storage. Are you frustrated? Are you flowing?
I love it. Yeah, I think one of the things that we could touch on here too is, just even thinking in I want to challenge our listeners again, to really be thinking, again, it's so easy just to go about our day to day and just be like, oh, this, maybe you do get a little frustrated, but it's just like, oh, whatever, you're just moving on, right? Life moves so quickly. There's so many things to do. But it's in, again, taking that step back that we can really evaluate, hey, wait a second, why do I keep doing the same thing over and over and I'm frustrated every day? Why don't I change it? But it's just like, it doesn't always click right in the moment, like I should change this. And so I think we want to ask our listeners today to, when you have that moment where it's just like, you have that friction, you have that hesitation of like, oh, this is frustrating or this isn't working for me, to take action and make a note of that and just, find, let's dig deeper and find a solution along with that.
100%.
Yeah.
It's about what's holding you back.
Yeah.
And I think it's asking those questions, and not just accepting the frustration.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so confession.
Okay.
So my foyer is an Amazon graveyard.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not by
I've seen it.
Not by my fault though. Okay. Talk to the hubby. He likes to order in quantities.
Well,
and so, okay, all right, fair enough. We never run out of paper towels. However, I have an Amazon graveyard to deal with in my foyer. So, and it's sort of frustrating.
Yeah.
It's like frustrating that, while we enjoy the convenience, and of it being delivered to the home, we're both, working professionals, and while it's convenient for certain products, at the same time, I think it needs to be thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can't, now that you have this kind of new thing, right, where you have all this incoming deliveries to your home, what happens?
And I know I'm not alone.
No, gosh.
I know I'm not alone in this. We get deliveries to our house all the time. In fact, when we're designing our businesses for our customers, we think about receiving, where do the deliveries go? Who's receiving them? Where does it go? I think we have to have that same mindset when we're thinking about our home. And that's the level of detail and care that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There may not be an immediate solution, because to life's biggest problems, sometimes there's not.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we want to fix the problem, we need to give it time and attention. And I think that's why we go through life, sort of, just accepting the friction, accepting the things that are not working, and just moving through the day.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about time, but what would that really save you if you really took the time to think about what's not working and what is in your home?
Absolutely. I have a home office that I just recently remodeled, as you know, and I think for me, it kind of got to that point where it's just like, I use it as a creative space, but it's also needs to function for, my day-to-day if I'm working remote, and those sorts of things. And so there's a lot of kind of planning that went into it, and it wasn't just an overnight thing, where it's just like one day I woke up and I'm going to redo my office, which sometimes that does happen, right? Where you have these overnight thoughts, or just like, I'm doing it this weekend. But I, really took a pause on that because I really wanted to evaluate and dig deeper myself and kind of do this kind of review of like, what is it that I'm actually need to have in my office? What can I get rid of? What can how can I better organize this? How is this going to work for all of these different reasons of how I'm going to use my space. And, really by doing that, I was able to just really consolidate. I feel so much more productive. The spaces, generally it's uncluttered, it's clean. I can think, like sometimes like I've had that thought where I've been in a space and it's just like there's just so much stuff you can't even think. Like I know I'm not alone, right?
No.
Have you and so anyway, it's just I'm going down this road, this path here with you, just in thinking that this can really change your life. Thinking about your behaviors, your rituals, and these things of how we can improve those and move past that. It's not an overnight thing, but when you do the work, it really yields a good result. Like I feel so productive in my space now. I think that's just a small example of how small things can really make a big impact.
Absolutely. Want to change your life, change your behaviors.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
Oh, that just came out. Want to change your life, change your behaviors, and also change what's supporting those behaviors.
Yeah.
If you want to quit drinking, you get rid of the alcohol.
True.
Right?
True.
But on a bigger level, and I think you're exactly right. You want to change your life, you have to think about these details that's holding you back. That's sort of a big idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really all about the smaller ideas. Like, what is it every day that's holding you back? And so you need to be thinking about these details. Design is absolutely in the details. Valerie, let's talk about this idea of time and productivity, because you're talking about your office. But it doesn't have to be an office. It doesn't have to be your work environment. But even at home, don't you want to be productive? Whether you're working or not working, you want to be productive. And I think there's something to the idea that when your space aligns with your rituals and behaviors, particularly the positive ones, that you will ultimately save time.
I mean, time is so important. I think for everyone, people live such busy lives, whether it's you're taking the kids somewhere, you're, it's a work, environment, any of these things that we do on the day to day, that it's just like, it just feels like there's never enough time. And so I feel like if there's a way, and there is, for us to be able to get back, a half an hour extra a day or a week, that's time that we could have back to use for self-care, to, make better connections with friends and families. There's just put it towards things that, like I feel like are the things that really matter, that make us happy.
And that's wellness.
And that's
right
wellness,
there.
Yeah.
And that's what we keep talking about. It's this resonant framework. It's doing your due diligence. It's creating a space that supports your lifestyle. It supports your identity. And when you do that, in a sense, you pick up time. And that's time that is spent on yourself and reflection and meditation and caring for yourself, caring for others, sharing life with other people. And all of this contributes to the well-being in our built environments. And I think that's such an important aspect of understanding how time impacts well-being. If we're always hurried and we're missing a step and we're stumbling over things that are friction. Even think about your closet, right? Your clothing, right? I'm a fashionista, right? And I'm in the planning stages of my new closet design. And wouldn't it be nice to not have to think about what you're going to wear? It just was effortless, right? The way it was organized.
Yes, that would
seasonally,
be amazing.
Organized by season, organized by lifestyle. And that's sort of what's going into my closet design, right? Whether you're going to the country club or you're going to work, you have an event, or you're just lounging, your lifestyle for, active wear, and how that all falls into, your organization of your closet. I mean, this is something we do every day. We get dressed.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's what we keep talking about, is this idea of these things that we do every day, like get dressed, like going to the kitchen and making your protein shake, and how that all aligns with your lifestyle, especially those positive behaviors and positive rituals that you do, so it enhances that, I think is beyond beneficial.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think there's sometimes so many decisions that we make in a day. I know myself, sometimes even just from work, there's a lot of decisions that we make, and let alone all the ones that you make for yourself during the day, from when you wake up till you go to go to sleep at night. The most common one at my house is what's for dinner, right? Like, if I eliminated, all of those little tiny pain points and
roadblocks, right?
Roadblocks of just like, we don't have to have that conversation. I don't even think people realize the impact, how decision making, how that can be such a burden on your day to day. And these little things, they add up. And that's what we're talking about. Let's save time. How can we be proactive? How can the space support me to make this easy, that we can just flow through our day and just be like living our best life?
Exactly. Eliminating the friction, eliminating the roadblocks, eliminating the pain points, and finding flow, which is well-being.
Well-being, yeah.
And so I challenge our listeners to think about, here's the challenge. What can you do today? What can you do today? Maybe not to, if not today, this week or this month, that you can change in terms of design in your life that would positively impact your overall well-being, that being your happiness, that being your flow, that being your time. And so I think the way you go about understanding what that is really understanding what is causing the, how to recognize the pain points, right? If you are frustrated, if you look at something and you're not happy, just it could be a room, maybe not the whole house, but there's a room like my foyer, right? I want a foyer to be welcoming and beautiful and open and have this organic component to it. And, instead I've got boxes, and that's not fun. Yeah. It doesn't make me happy.
It doesn't make you happy.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm going to solve that. It's a big investment, but I'm opening up the front of the house, and I'm putting in a new foyer. And this foyer is not going to be gargantuan, but it's going to be larger scale. And I'm adding a beautiful sort of minimalistic storage closet. You'll never see it because it's going to blend in with the walls. So as we get the boxes in, we stack the closet. There's a place for it. And then the boxes go to recycling very quickly. And so sometimes it's not an easy fix. And that's what we're saying from the very beginning. Sometimes to change your life, you have to make big decisions. I think there's ways to solve problems. Like I said, think about it. What's the one thing you can do today, this week, or this month? There's always something we can do to change your life, to support your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But then there's the planning. There's the decisions, and you just know this is not working. What is it that you can do, like your closet, your walk-in closet that's not working for you? It can be better.
What are you waiting for?
And then what are you waiting for? Right?
Yeah.
If it's, it's sort of the catch-22, if it's going to save you time, but you don't have the time to invest, you have to sort of just make that decision that in the long run, it's going to save you time, and time is money.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that time is money. And I think that it's worth investing in yourself so that you can focus on the things that you want to do. You want to focus on your business. You want to be successful, right? Let all those other little things, that if life's flowing, you can focus on the things that are important to you, like running and managing your business,
Yeah.
without the little hiccups that get in the way.
Yeah.
Thinking about what you're going to wear to work every day.
Yeah.
Or what you're going to have for dinner and how you're going to prepare it.
Yeah.
And to make it easy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And to make it easy. If you have your meals delivered to your home like I do, I have an area carved out. So when I get that Sakara Life box with my meals, they go, right into the refrigerator. It's an easy routine, but there's a place for everything, and everything has its place. And that's what behavioral lifestyle design is all about, is supporting that lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about quality over quantity. We touched a little bit about this in our last episode, this striving, right? We're always thinking about, bigger, better, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if, I think that if you want true well-being to me in a wellness-driven life is very present. And so it's great to plan and it's great to have goals, but I think it's also very important to be satisfied where you're at in your life. That's what well-being is. Being present, being happy, being content, and also revolving your design around that lifestyle. So, I'm a big proponent of quality over quantity. Less is more.
I love that.
And so I think that's something we really, I think that's a big topic, right? Is taking what you have, even if you don't have the biggest house, and making it work for you. Instead of focused on the striving, focused on the here and now and the present. We can't predict the future. We certainly can make decisions that help us forge forward and have an amazing future. But it's also important to focus on the here and now.
Absolutely. And I think just to piggyback on what you're saying too, Michele, there's really the grass isn't always greener on the other side. I feel like is so true. And, finding, even just starting with the smallest of things to make that change in your own world as it is right now, I think really can start to give you that mental lift, that like, hey, I'm making change. And doesn't it always feel so good when you make a change and you put something in motion and it's like, yeah, I'm moving forward. Like, this is great. I'm feeling good. You get a little high about that, and as far as I'm concerned. And so I think there's something really cool that you could tap into here, where if you're really focused on just even every day making these small changes, that it's going to help lead you to feeling your best and really contribute to well-being.
So listeners, you heard that. You heard my challenge. Report back to us. Report back to us what is that one change that you can do that would help bring flow to your life through design. And that could be storage, that could be moving some furniture around, whatever that is. Report back to us and let us know what you did and how it changed your life. Maybe it can't happen today, but a realistic timeline of doing that, this week or this month. And it could be the smallest of detail, I think, would be key to accomplishing that. Here's a fun one, Valerie. What would your house say about you in terms of the flow if it could speak? Would it say that you're a wellness fanatic? Would it say that you like to relax? Would it say that you like to entertain?
Yeah, I think a little bit of all of those actually. Yeah, I think it would say, come on in, feel welcome here, and like let's have a conversation. Let's deepen our connection. I think that's a big thing at my house is just having with the flow of everything. It's just having these areas for connection
Mm,
and um, just that really flows anywhere you go in the space. Um, Upstairs, downstairs, there's always this opportunity to, connect.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what, that's part of the behaviors, right? If you like to meditate, does your house say that? Would I know by walking through your house that you like to meditate? Is there a place carved out for it?
Mm.
Is there space for entertaining? Is it more of an open plan where you could tell it's very conducive to inviting people over? I'm a big proponent of the open plan,
Yeah.
and I have a big island, right? That means it's like big parties, lots of conversation, lots of connection, right? So I think that's something else to be thinking about is, what, what would your house say about you in terms of your behaviors, especially as it relates to how you think your life is or how you want your life to be. If
Mm.
you're a wellness fanatic, does your house really show that? Do you have a beverage center set up somewhere with, lemon water and tea, so that it's easily accessible? It's really supporting your lifestyle. It's like thinking out of the box, thinking about your greatest experiences and how that supported your lifestyle.
I love that. That even makes me think of, this. I'm working on the design of my kitchen right now, and one thing that was so important to me was really to put my true wellness foot forward, so to speak, and I wanted my kitchen in that environment to really support my efforts of trying to be as healthy, eat healthy, to have accessible food that's healthy, and just to have that be my world instead of being tempted by other, snacks or things like that, you don't really need. And so one way that, I'm really leaning into this is kind of thinking out of the box a little bit and really just deciding, what, I don't want a freezer. I want a refrigerator in my kitchen that has a full glass front, and I want it to feel like I'm shopping at, my neighborhood grocery store, where it's just the freshest produce is available. I open my door and there it is. I can see it and grab something, and it fosters my priority of wanting to be healthy and to eat healthy by including something like that. It's a little bit out of the box, but I think not.
I think so, farm to table.
Yeah.
And then that solves your issue about what to have for dinner.
Exactly.
Right? It's like, what to have for dinner, honey? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Ta-da! And you have all the freshest ingredients, and it's all prepared and ready for you.
Yeah.
And so I would say that when I've seen your kitchen, it does speak to your nod to wellness.
Yeah.
And supports your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Valerie, when we're working with our design clients, and our design clients will recognize this, we start out our design process by having them fill out a questionnaire. And all that is just providing us with information to review prior to having a very large kickoff meeting. And so the questionnaire is really in two parts. The first part of the questionnaire pertains to the overall look and feel. That's the brand, right? That's the overall look and feel. That's the identity of the space. How do they imagine it to look and feel? That is touching on what we talked about last week, which is, the top of the resonant framework, the diamond. It's the first dimension. And the second dimension being behavior is what we touch on with our customers as part of this questioning. And this is where we're really diving into the floor plan and the layout. So this is why it's so important to identify the behaviors. It's talking about, especially when you're getting into layout, how many people will be in your living room at any given time? How many people do you want to seat at your dining room table? So when we're talking about design is in the details, that's the level of detail that I'm talking about. Not even just removing the friction or just, eliminating the hiccups or the pain points, but helping with the flow. When you're laying out your kitchen, the layout is a big part of it, right? That's the foundation for everything. And that's why this second dimension of the resonant framework is so important, because it really pertains to two really big things. Your layout of your space, and that's your furniture and your flow, even where's the door located on a room, because it all matters in terms of flow and function, right?
Yeah,
and the connection between space, even how you're moving from the primary bedroom to the primary bathroom to the walk-in closet, to getting your car keys, right? So that pertains to the layout, and the layout is the foundation for everything. So if you're planning a remodel or you're planning to build a new home, maybe it's not just about the little change. Maybe this is a big project that you're working on. This is why I don't like cookie cutter homes, like this idea of just,
one size fits all.
One size fits all, because I don't think everybody's a different size and shape, right?
Yeah, right?
Everybody is different. Every family is different. And so I think it's important to be thinking about putting together those details before you're meeting with your architect or before you're meeting with your builder, and even be meeting as a family, if you're planning on expanding your home or building a new house, is to be remembering the fact that one size does not fit all, and that you want to create the flow to fit your lifestyle, and it's okay to be different.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes. Everybody be different.
Be
It's
different.
fantastic.
You be you, I be me.
Yeah.
We like that.
Yeah.
Makes me happy.
Yeah, me too.
And this is why we, do this deep dive at the beginning of the design process. And you listeners should be, thinking about that, whether you're working with a designer or not, or an architect, is to make sure that, you've fully communicated all of those wants and needs in a list of what is, what's important to you in terms of the flow and functionality. How many people are going to be in this room? Do you want a place to read and have a cozy little nook? Do you need a he room or a she room? Where are you going to do those creative plans and ideas? Where are you doing your planning? And so I think that's something that's really important. Don't you think, Valerie?
Absolutely. Very important. I think if you're working with a designer or an architect or somebody who hasn't been asking you those questions, or you're not going in prepared, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because really that's the best way to kind of start that process of making sure that you get what you actually, need, what's actually going to let you have that true wellness space and design that is going to help you live, in the best way possible and support you.
Exactly. And that's why I'm also a big proponent of living in a space before remodeling it, or even buying a home that has good bones that you can transform to fit your lifestyle versus just building something from scratch. Because when you build something from scratch, you better have thought through every single detail. And I know personally people who have built homes from scratch. And at the end of the process, they're always like, oh, I made this mistake and I made this mistake. I wish I would have known this. I wish I would have known that. And when you're building a home, there's a lot of pressure because especially, working with certain home builders and they're, pushing you through this process. And especially if you have limited funds, right? And so you have a limited budget, you're really forced to make decisions very quickly. What countertop material do you want? What handles? But at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. Design is in the details. And so you may miss those details. And so when you purchase a home that has good bones, that has the opportunity for expansion, you can live in that space.
Exactly.
And then you start the planning phase of, now, how do we transform this house to truly fit the lifestyle? And that is where the magic really happens.
Absolutely. The transformation that I think you can achieve after you've really sat with a space and really observed your behavior, like how you, where you like to drink your morning coffee, maybe you have the perfect spot, but you need to add an expansive window, and that just makes it even tenfold better. There's all sorts of things that I feel like you can pick up and learn from by just being able to sit with a space.
And that is what we call lifestyle-driven design.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if money's, a concern, but you've saved up and you're planning for a new home, I really encourage you to do your due diligence and to think through all of these details. Haste makes waste, right?
For sure.
There you have it, Valerie. We have the second dimension of the Resonant Framework, remembering that wellness design is a philosophy, and it's through design and the Resonant Framework, which is identity, what we talked about last week, and lifestyle, what we talked about this week, and there's more to come, that ultimately brings well-being emotionally, physically into your world in the built environment.
I love it. It was so much fun, Michele.
It was.
Yay.
And I, again, encourage our listeners to drop us a line, comment, let us know what you think and what change you made to change your life. We want to hear all about it.
We do.
See you next week.